service with regards to using technology, 3D technology, for fashion brands, whether it's clothing or accessories, or right now I am working with doing home products with 3D. So we offer this technology and the service in order for us to play in a sustainable world, meaning that we don't touch fabric, we don't touch sampling, we produce in a digital way. So this way we can fit also on digitally and get the almost correct fitting. In sampling, the sample would just be almost perfect, where there's no in-between process. The system is called CLO. It's CLO.
Wow.
Yes, it is. And there's several types of companies. I chose CLO because it has. Do you know the difference between an Apple and a PC computer? I guess it's more about the appearance and more about this. Like to me, the Apple is more of a sleek way of using the computer, where the PC is much more functional and more robotic, where this closed system is more sleek. And there's another version that's called browseware, where it's a little bit that caters to more of the technical people. Whereas Clo, it's visually appealing, but it's still technically correct. So yes, that's the system I use. So they would either give me an idea or like a quick sketch, fabrication. The main thing would be for them to give me their fit, meaning if they use a fit model, then they'll give me the measurement. I would put those measurements into the system. It will generate an avatar that would have similar body measurements. So in a way, we're fitting on this digital avatar. So they'll just tell me, quickly how low they want the neckline, or and then just measurements. Tell me what fabrication. Sometimes they would give me the dimensions of the fabric, meaning the weight or even the cut, so that I can also put that into the system, and it will calculate. Like, let's say if it's a stiff fabric, we would need to compensate for how it doesn't stretch, or for a woven, I mean, or if it was a knit, then it would tell me this is how much it would stretch. Does that make sense? They just give me the dimension of the fabric so that I can generate a sample out of it. So sometimes if it's there is also a service where a lot of the fabrications are already digitalized, meaning that it's usually like a factory mill. They would have sort of the known fabrics that are already digitalized. So it would show me the weight. It should show me the texture on it too. So sometimes we can take that, incorporate into our system. Otherwise, if it's very generalized, if it's a chiffon, if it's a Georgette, it's usually built in the system already. We just need to calculate the weight and and the color. So what's great is that so once we get the sketch from them, we create the pattern in the system that will generate the outcome of the garment. So meaning that we're almost doing a physical process digitally. Does that make sense? Like usually pattern makers would go to Gerber or any system and do their patterns, right? And then the patterns will print out paper patterns into a printer, and then you would take those patterns and then cut it, blah, blah, blah. Well, in this system, we're actually doing it all digitally. We create the pattern, then you would also digitally sew it. I would love to show to you how it would look, but it's like animation. The patterns will sew into each other. We can dictate the size of the thread. what kind of overlock to use, or what kind of stitches, embroidery, all that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes, you can
Okay, so
do
you're
fit changes. You can do multiple changes in this one file, let's say. I mean, you just have to know, pattern making in order to manipulate these changes. Does that make sense?
yeah.
So the system actually generates a pattern that you can actually uh, save it into a file in a pattern making way, so that you can email that to the pattern maker, or to the sewer, or to the companies, uh, for them to, like, let's say I'll shoot it to China. China will get it. They'll cut the paper and, make the sample. It converts into a pattern making file. If they have their digital patterns already, you can email to me. It converts it in the system, and all I have to do is take those patterns and digitally sew them.
How is the factory sustainable?
There are a couple of factories that I partnered with. One is a silk factory that uses solar systems. The way they wash things, it's much more clean and much more green, and they're certified. So all the labor rules.
What?
I have a list of it. It's in my website, but I just don't know the list. All of them.
Okay, perfect. Okay, multiple factories that you work. So
that's one of the major thing is cost and wastage. You can all, I mean, I haven't even touched about prints and colors. We can generate prints so that we can add the prints on the garment, and then you can manipulate where you want it, so that you don't waste cutting, or you don't waste printing it. I mean, that's like I said, that's another aspect, but yeah, mostly about cost and wastage. No fabric wastage, no time wasting, and no chemicals used. We need to do a wash, or just printing, inks, all that stuff. No chemical use. It's all digital. That's what I'm saying. There's no chemical. Well, the thing right now is that, so with my stuff, there's no prints. It's strict. It's solid, or the fabric's woven in. Meaning when I do talk about the prints, it's a service I'll offer to the brands, that if they have a print, then I can generate those things for them. It's mostly for them. Okay. What's great about the website is that everything's digital, and what I offer is custom made, meaning that what you see online, instead of it being a sample made and put in a model, go through all the photo shoots, all that stuff, but it's digitally created, and if you like the style, we have an app that you can download. It will take a digital measurement of yourself, and then it will download into my system. That's where you get the measurements converted into the avatar. Then I'll have the patterns. The style is created to fit for you. There's no inventory. Everything's custom made. We have custom made shoes made from Spain and Portugal that uses this idea. Yeah.
What you're saying is that this can also be available for retailers to offer it to their individual retail customers.
If they want the system, yes. So a lot of the factories in China have, I mean, just being green is unheard of, right? But so a lot of the factories that I've researched and partnering up with are evolving in a sense. They know the business is changing. During COVID, there was a lot of, I mean, even before COVID, there was a lot of talk about custom clothing, just because we were all talking about sustainability and all that stuff. So there is a factory that works with European mills, which the MQs are low. They also stock those fabrics if needed. So there's other customers that do the same thing that I do, which is the custom world. So we all share the fabric because let's say the mill produces a line in a season. So we all use that. They'll store it for us. The aspect of producing the garments and selling, that's mine so far. So there's no connection there yet. Just because we're, I'm not there yet, let's just say that. The reason why I partnered with these two, it was so random. One of them, they posted something on LinkedIn, and I just happened, they produce silk. So I happened to ask them, okay, how many units they can do. And they somehow we talked into doing the 3D thing, and they were also in the process of offering those services to their customer, the 3D designs, and cutting down the waste, cutting down the cost. So we started talking, and that's where I'm getting all my silk products from.
Okay. So basically that's still something that's evolving, but as far as eliminating the costs of that, what is a ballpark figure for, let's say, somebody doing a dress, going the 3D route as opposed to going the traditional route?
Are you talking about the rate of my service?
But let's say, okay, somebody giving you a sketch to do a dress and getting it to a level to do that, as opposed to, because we know what the costs are going the traditional route. So going this route, what would be just a ballpark figure?
So I'm charging $65 an hour for right now, just a ballpark, especially, and there's also a minimum. But a lot of them will give me their full collection. So if it's over a certain amount, I would usually give them a lower rate. But I usually start off with 65 an hour. Like right now, I'm working with this home situation, home decor. They're using me a lot. I'm lowering it down to certain price. Yeah, right. It depends on the dress also. If it's a simple dress, I mean, I can do it in, let's say, half an hour. But I would ask them at least to give me a minimum of 2 hours. So they wouldn't give me just one dress, right? They would give me certain number of dresses or sketches.
At least it puts it into perspective where we know for like with dress, a pattern making cost, if you're going to do it the traditional way, is going to be something in the $200 to $500, depending on the number of pieces and all of that stuff. And then we know that the sample sewing is going to cost you probably at least $100 something to cut and sew for sample, plus the fabric, plus the the notions.
They'll see the sample, I mean, almost to the real sense before they even commit to it. That's Los Angeles. Actually, what I can add is that if you go to shopindustry.com, if you look into there's certain styles where I've created a 3D, so you can someone can go in and with their mouse, they can do a 360 look of that garment. It's not like you can move that item around.